Hello, my name is Deanne. This is Deanne's Treasure Studio, where I read gaming content not available on Audible. Gather around, my friends, my fellow gamers, for the latest spells. You be the judge if you welcome them at your table, utilizing my free reading 2024 Chapter 7 spell descriptions D+. First on my list today is Crown of Madness, level 2 enchantment, bard, sorcerer, warlock, wizard. Casting time, action, range 120 feet. Components VS, duration, concentration up to 1 minute. One creature that you can see within range must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or have the charmed condition for the duration. The creature succeeds automatically if it isn't humanoid. A spectral crown appears on the charmed target's head. It must use its action before moving on each of its turns to make a melee attack against a creature other than itself that you mentally choose. The target can act normally on its turn if you choose no creature or if no creature is within its reach. The target repeats the save at the end of each of its turns, ending the spell on itself on a success. On your turns, you must make a magic action to maintain control of the target or the spell ends. Crusader's Mantle, level 3 evocation, paladin. Casting time, action, range, self, components V, duration, concentration up to 1 minute. You radiate a magical aura in a 30-foot emanation. While in the aura, you and your allies each deal an extra 1d radiant damage when hitting with a weapon or an unarmed strike. Cure Wounds, level 1. Abjuration, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Paladin, Ranger. Casting time, action. Range, touch. Components, VS. Duration, instantaneous. A creature you touch regains a number of hit points equal to 2d8 plus your spellcasting modifier, ability modifier. Using a higher level spell slot, the healing increases by 2d8 for each spell level above 1. Dancing Lights, Illusion, Cantrip, Bard, Sorcerer, Wizard. Casting time, action! Range 120 feet. Components VSM, a bit of phosphorus. Duration and concentration up to 1 minute. You create up to 4 torch-sized lights within range, making them appear as torches, lanterns, or glowing orbs that hover for the duration. Alternatively, you combine the 4 lights into one glowing medium form that is vaguely human-like, whichever you choose. Each light sheds dim light in a 10-foot radius. As a bonus action, you can move the lights up to 60 feet to a space within range. The light must be within 20 feet of another light created by this spell. And a light vanishes if it exceeds the spell's range. Darkness, level 2 evocation. Sorcerer, warlock, wizard. Casting time, action! Range 60 feet. Components VM. Bat fur and a piece of coal. Duration, concentration, up to 10 minutes, folks. For the duration, magical darkness spreads from a point within range and fills a 15-foot sphere. Dark vision, can't see through it, and non-magical light can't illuminate in it. Alternatively, you cast a spell on an object that isn't being worn or carried, causing darkness to fill a 15-foot emanation originated from that object. Covering that object with something opaque, such as a bowl or helm, blocks the darkness. If any of the spell's area overlaps with the area of bright light or dim light created by a spell of level 2 or lower, then the spell is dispelled. Dark Vision, level 2, Transmutation, Druid, Ranger, Sorcerer, Wizard. Casting time, action, range, touch. Components, VSM, a dried carrot. Duration, 8 hours. For the duration, a willing creature you touch has dark vision with the range of 150 feet. Daylight, level 3, Evocation, Cleric, Druid, Paladin, Ranger, Sorcerer. Casting time, action, range 60 feet. Components, VS, duration 1 hour. For the duration, sunlight spreads from a point within range and fills 60-foot radius sphere. The sunlight area is bright light and sheds dim light from an additional 60 feet. Alternatively, you cast a spell on an object it isn't being worn or carried, casting the sunlight to fill a 60-foot emanation originated from that object, covering that object with something opaque such as a bowl or helm blocks the sunlight. If any of the spell's area overlaps with an area of darkness created by the spell of a level 3 or lower, that other spell is dispelled. Death Ward, level 4, Abjuration, Cleric, Paladin. Casting time, action, range, touch. Components, VS, duration 8 hours. You touch a creature and grant it a measure of protection from death. The first time the target would drop to 0 hit points. Because of this spell, before the spell ends, the target instead drops to 1 hit point and the spell ends. If the spell is still in effect when the target is subjected to an effect that would kill it instantly without dealing any damage, that effect is negated against the target and the spell ends. Delayed Blast Fireball, level 7, Evocation, Sorcerer, Wizard. Casting time, action, range 150 feet. Components, VSM, a ball of bat, guano, and sulfur. Duration, concentration up to 1 minute. A beam of yellow light flashes from you, then condenses into a chosen point within range as a glowing bead for the duration. When the spell ends, the bead explodes, and each creature in a 20-foot radius sphere centered on that point makes a dexterity saving throw. A creature takes fire damage equal to the total accumulated damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. The spell's base damage is 12d6, and the damage increases 1d6 whenever your turn ends and the spell hasn't ended. If a creature touches the glowing bead before the spell ends, the creature makes a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, the spell ends, causing the bead to explode. On a successful save, the creature can throw the bead up to 40 feet. If the thrown bead enters a creature's space or collides with a solid object, the spell ends and the bead explodes. When the bead explodes, flammable objects in the explosion that aren't being worn or carried start burning. Using a using a higher level spell slot, the base damage increases by 1d6 for each spell slot above 7. Demiplane, level 8, Conjuration, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. Casting time, action, range of 60 feet. Components, S, duration 1 hour. You create a shadowy medium door on a flat, solid surface that you can see within range. This door can be opened and closed, and it leads to a demiplane that is an empty room 30 feet in each dimension, made of wood or solid stone, your choice. When the spell ends, the door vanishes and any objects inside the demiplane remain there. Any creatures inside also remain unless they opt to be shunted through the door as it vanishes, landing with the prone condition in an unoccupied space closest to the door's former space. Each time you cast the spell, you can create one new demiplane or connect the shadowy door to a demiplane you created with a previous casting of this spell. Additionally, if you know the nature and contents of a demiplane created by a casting of this spell by another creature, you can connect the shadowy door to that demiplane instead. Destructive Wave, Level 5 Evocation Paladin. Casting time, action. Range, self. Components, V. Duration, instantaneous. Destructive energy ripples outward from you in a 30-foot emanation. Each creature you choose in the emanation takes a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, it takes 5d6 thunder damage and 5d6 radiant or necrotic damage, your choice, and has the prone condition. On a successful save, the target takes half as much damage only. Detect Evil and Good. Level 1 Divination, Cleric, Paladin. Casting time, action. Range, self. Components, VS. Duration, concentration, up to 10 minutes. For the duration, you sense the location of any aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead within 30 feet of yourself. You can also sense whenever the hallowed spell is active there, and if so, where. This spell is blocked by 1 foot of stone, dirt, or wood, 1 inch of metal, or any thin sheet of lead. Detect Magic. Level 1 Divination, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Paladin, Ranger, Sorcerer, Warlock, and Wizard. Casting time, action, or ritual. Range, self. Components, VS. Duration, concentration, up to 10 minutes. For the duration, you sense the presence of magical effects within 30 feet of yourself. If you sense such effects, you can make a magic action to see a faint aura around any visible creature or object in the area that bears the magic. And if an effect was created by a spell, you learn the spell's school of magic. The spell is blocked by 1 foot of stone, dirt, or wood, 1 inch of metal, or a thin sheet of lead. Detect Poison and Disease. Level 1 Divination, Cleric, Druid, Paladin, Ranger. Casting time, action, or ritual. Range, self. Components, VSM. AU leaf. Duration, concentration, up to 10 minutes. For the duration, you sense the location of poisons, poisonous or venomous creatures, and magical contagions within 30 feet of yourself. You sense the kind of poison, creature, or contagion in each case. The spell is blocked by 1 foot of stone, dirt, or wood, 1 inch of metal, or a thin sheet of lead. Detect Thoughts. Level 2 Divination, Bard, Sorcerer, Wizard. Casting time, action. Range, self. Components, VSM, 1 copper piece. Duration, concentration, up to 1 minute. You activate one of the effects below. Until the spell ends, you can activate either effect as a magic action on your later turns. Sense Thoughts. You sense the presence of thoughts within 30 feet of yourself that belong to creatures that know languages and are telepathic. You don't read the thoughts, but you know that a thinking creature is present. The spell is blocked by 1 foot stone, dirt, or wood, 1 inch of metal, or a thin sheet of lead. Read thoughts. Target 1 creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself, or 1 creature within 30 feet of yourself that you detected with a sense thoughts option. You learn what is most on the target's mind right now. If the target doesn't know any languages and isn't telepathic, you learn nothing. As a magic action, on your turn, you can try to probe deeper into the target's mind. If you probe deeper, the target makes a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, you discern the target's reasoning, emotion, and something that looms large in its mind, such as a worry, love, or hate. On a successful save, the spell ends. Either way, the target knows that you are probing into its mind, and until you shift your attention away from the target's mind, the target can take an action on its turn to make an intelligence arcana check against your spell save DC and ending this spell on a success. Dimension Door, Level 4, Conjuration, Bard, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. Casting time, action. Range 500 feet. Components V. Duration instantaneous. You teleport to a location within range. You arrive at exactly the spot desired. It can be a place you can see, one that you can visualize, or one you can describe by stating distance and direction, such as 200 feet straight forward or 300 feet upwards to the northwest at 45-degree angle. You can also teleport one willing creature. The creature must be within 5 feet of you when you teleport, and it teleports to a space within 5 feet of your destination space. If you or other creature, or both, would arrive in a space occupied by a creature or completely filled by one or other objects, you and any creature traveling with you takes 4d6 force damage, and the teleportation fails. Disguise Self. Level 1, Illusion, Bard, Sorcerer, Wizard. Casting time, action. Range Self. Components VS. Duration 1 hour. You make yourself, including your clothing, armor, weapons, and other belongings on your person, look different until the spell ends. You can seem 1 foot shorter or 1 foot or taller, and can appear heavier or lighter. You must adopt to a form that has the basic arrangement of limbs as you have. Otherwise, the extent of the illusion is up to you. The changes wrought by the spell fail to hold up to physical inspection. For example, if you use this spell to add a hat to your outfit, objects pass through the hat, and anyone who touches it would feel nothing. To discern that you are disguised, the creature must make a study action to inspect your appearance and succeed on an intelligence investigation check against your spell DC. Disintegrate. Level 6, Transmutation, Sorcerer, Wizard. Casting time, action. Range 60 feet. Components VSM. An iod stone and dust. Duration instantaneous. You launch a green ray at the target that you can see within range. The target can be a creature, a non-magical object, or a creature of magical force, such as a wall created by Wall of Force. A creature targeted by the spell must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, the target takes 10d6 plus 40 force damage. If the damage reduces it to 0 hit points, it and everything non-magical it is wearing and carrying are disintegrated into gray dust. The target can be revived only by a true resurrection or a wish spell. This spell automatically disintegrates a large or smaller non-magical item or a creation of a magical force, such as a target is huge or large. This spell disintegrates a 10-foot cube portion of it. Using a level spell higher slot, the damage increases by 3d6 for each spell slot above 6. Dispel Evil and Good. Level 5 Abjuration Cleric Paladin. Casting time action. Range self. Components VSM. Powdered silver and iron. Duration concentration up to 1 minute. For the duration, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead have disadvantage on attack rolls against you. You can end the spell early by using either the following special functions. Break the enchantment. As a magic action, you touch a creature that is possessed by or has the charmed or frightened condition from one or more creatures of the types above. The target is no longer possessed, charmed, or frightened by such creatures. Dismissal. As a magic action, you target one creature you can see within 5 feet of you that has one of the creature types above. The target must succeed on a charisma saving throw or be sent back to its home plane if it isn't there already. If they aren't on their home plane, undead are sent to the Shadowfell and fays are sent to the Feywild. Dispel Magic. Level 3 Abjuration. Bard, Cleric, Druid, Paladin, Ranger, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. Casting time action. Range 120 feet. Components VS. Duration instantaneous. Choose one creature, object, or magical effect within range. Any ongoing spell of level 3 or lower on a target ends. For each ongoing spell of level 4 or higher on the target, make an ability check using your spellcasting DC 10 plus the spell's level. On a successful check, the spell ends. Using higher level spell slots, you automatically end a spell on the target if the spell's level is equal to or less than the level of the spell slot you use. Dissonant Whispers. Level 1 Enchantment Bard. Casting time action. Range 60 feet. Components V. Duration instantaneous. One creature of your choice that you can see within range hears a dissonant melody in its mind. The target makes a DC saving throw. On a failed save, it takes 3d6 psychic damage and must immediately use its reaction, if available, to move as far away from you as it can, using the safest route. On a successful save, the target takes half as much damage only. Using a higher level spell slot, the damage increases by 1d6 for each level slot above 1. Divination Level 4. Divination, Cleric, Druid, Wizard. Casting time, action, or ritual. Range, self. Components, VSM. Incense worth 25 gold pieces, which the spell consumes. Duration, instantaneous. This spell puts you in contact with a god or a god's servants. You ask one question about a specific goal, event, or activity to occur within 7 days. The DM offers a truthful reply, which might be a short phrase or a cryptic rhyme. The spell doesn't account for circumstances that might change the answer, such as the casting of other spells. If you cast a spell more than once before finishing a long rest, there is a cumulative 25% chance for each spell after the first to give you no answer. Divine Favor, Level 1, Transmutation Paladin. Casting time, bonus action. Range, self components vs duration 1 minute. Until the spell ends, your attacks with weapons deal an extra 1d4 radiant damage on a hit. Divine Smite, Level 1 Evocation, Paladin. Casting time, bonus action, which you take immediately after hitting a target with a melee weapon or an unarmed strike. Range, self, components, V, duration, instantaneous. The target takes an extra 2d8 radiant damage from the attack. The damage increases by 1d8 if the target is a fiend or undead. Using a higher level spell slot, the damage increases by 1d8 for each spell slot above 1. Divine Word, Level 7, Evocation, Cleric, casting time, bonus action. Range 30 feet, components V, duration instantaneous. You utter a word imbued with power from the upper planes. Each creature of your choice in range makes a charisma saving throw. On a failed save, the target takes 50 hit points or fewer suffers, an effect based on its current hit points, as shown in the divination word effects table. Regardless of hit points, a celestial, an elemental, a fae, or a fiend target that fails to save is forced back to its plane of origin if it isn't there already, and can't return to the current plane for 24 hours by any means short of a wish spell. So, the divination word effects, hit points 0 to 20, the target dies. 21 to 30, the target has the blinded, deafened, and stunned condition for 1 hour. (31 to 40), the target has the blinded and deafened conditions for 10 minutes. 41 to 50, the target has the deafened condition for 1 minute. Moving on to Dominate Beast. Level 4, Enchantment, Druid, Ranger, Sorcerer. Casting time, action. Range 60 feet. Components vs duration, concentration up to 1 minute. One beast you can see within range must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or have the charmed condition for the duration. The target has advantage on its save if you or your allies are fighting with it. Whenever the target takes damage, it repeats the same, ending the spell on itself on a success. You have a telepathic link with the charmed target while the two of you are on the same plane of existence. On your turn, you can use this link to issue commands to the target, no action required, such as attack that creature, move over there, or fetch that object. The target does its best to obey it on its turn. If it completes an order and doesn't receive any further direction from you, it acts and moves as it likes, focusing on protecting itself. You can command the target to take a reaction, but must use your reaction to do so. Using a higher level spell slot, your concentration can last longer with a spell slot of level 5 up to 10 minutes, 6 up to 1 hour, 7 plus up to 8 hours. Moving on to Dominate Monster, level 8. Enchantment, Bard, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. Casting time, action. Range 60 feet. Components, VS, duration, concentration up to 1 hour. One creature you can see within range must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or have the charmed condition. For the duration, The target has advantage on the save if you or your allies are fighting with it. Whenever the target takes damage, it repeats the save, ending the spell on itself on a success. You have a telepathic link with the charmed target while the two of you are on the same plane of existence. On your turn, you can use this link to issue commands to the target. No action required, such as attack that creature, move over there, fetch that object. The target does its best to obey on its turn. If it completes the order and doesn't receive any further direction from you, it acts and moves as it likes, focusing on protecting itself. You can command the target to take a reaction, but must take your own reaction to do so. Using a higher level spell slot, your concentration can last longer with a 9th level spell slot up to 8 hours. Dominate person, 5th level enchantment, bard, sorcerer, wizard. Casting time, action. Range 60 feet. Components vs. Duration, concentration up to 1 minute. One humanoid you can see within range must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or have the charmed condition for the duration. The target has advantage on the save if you and your allies are fighting with it. Whenever the target takes damage, it repeats the save, ending the spell on itself on a success. You have a telepathic link with the charmed target while the two of you are on the same plane of existence. On your turn, you can use this link to issue commands to the target. No action required, such as attack that creature, or move over there, or fetch that object. The target does its best to obey on its turn. If it completes the order and doesn't receive any further direction from you, it acts and moves as it likes, focusing on protecting itself. You can command the target to take a reaction, but must take your own reaction to do so. Using a higher level spell slot, your concentration can last longer with a spell slot level 6 up to 10 minutes, 7 up to 1 hour, 8 plus up to 8 hours. Dragon's Breath. Level 2 Transmutation Sorcerer Wizard. Casting time, bonus action. Range touch. Components VSM, a hot pepper. Duration, concentration up to 1 minute. You touch one willing creature and choose acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. Until the spell ends, the target can take a magic action to exhale a 15-foot cone. Each creature in that area makes a dexterity saving throw, taking 3d6 damage of the chosen type on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. Using a higher level spell slot, the damage increases 1d6 for each spell slot above 6. Drawmage, instant summons. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Level 6, Conjuration Wizard. Casting time 1 minute or ritual. Range touch. Components VSM, a sapphire worth 1,000 gold pieces. Duration until dispelled. You touch the sapphire used in casting of the spell and an object weighing 10 pounds or less whose longest dimension is 6 feet or less. The spell leaves an invisible mark on that object and invisibly inscribes the object's name on the sapphire. Each time you cast this spell, you must use a different sapphire. Thereafter, you can take the magic action to speak the object's name and crush the sapphire. The object instantly appears in your hand regardless of physical or planar distances, and the spell ends. If another creature is holding or carrying the object, crushing the sapphire doesn't transport it, but instead you learn who that creature is and where the creature is currently located. Dream, dream, dream. Level 5 Illusion, Bard, Warlock, Wizard. Casting time 1 minute. Range special. Components VSM. A handful of sand. Duration 8 hours. You target a creature you know on the same plane of existence. You or a willing creature you touch enters a trance state to act as a dream messenger. While in the trance, the messenger is incapacitated and has a speed of 0. If the target is asleep, the messenger appears in the target's dreams and can converse with the target as long as it remains asleep through the spell's duration. The messenger can also shape the dream's environment, creating landscapes, objects, and other images. The messenger can emerge from the trance at any time, ending the spell. The target recalls the dream perfectly upon waking. If the target is awake when you cast the spell, the messenger knows it and can either end the trance and the spell or wait for the target to sleep, at which point the messenger enters its dream. Druid Craft. Transmutation Cantrip. Druid. Casting time. Action. Range 30 feet. Components VX. Duration instantaneous. Whispering to the spirits of nature, you create one of the following effects within range. Weather sensor. You create a tiny, harmless sensory effect that predicts what the weather will be at your location for the next 24 hours. The effects might manifest as a golden orb or for clear skies, a cloud for rain, falling snowflakes for snow, and so on. This effect persists for 1 round. Bloom. You instantly make a flower blossom, a seed pod open, or a leaf bud bloom. Sensory effect. You create a harmless sensory effect such as falling leaves, spectral dancing fairies, a gentle breeze, a sound of an animal, or a faint odor of a skunk. The effect must fit in a 5-foot cube. Fire play. You light or snuff out a candle, a torch, or a campfire. Well, folks, that's the end of that. And stay tuned for next time where we're going to be doing spells starting with E. And remember, appreciate you liking, subscribing, and till next time.